Welcome to the Depth Dive. We're your shortcut to really understanding complex topics. And today, we're tackling something pretty common, actually. Gallstones. It's surprising, something like 10 to 20% of people, maybe 1 in 5, end up dealing with them.
That's right. And often the first thing you hear is, let's take the gallbladder out,
Right.
surgery. But we want to dig a bit deeper today. What's the body really telling us? Can we look at non-surgical ways, get to the root causes of why these stones even form?
Exactly. So first things first, let's do a quick gallbladder 101. What does this little organ actually do? It's not the factory, right?
No, that's a great way to put it. It's definitely more of a storage tank, your liver. That's
Yeah.
the factory. It makes this digestive liquid called bile.
Okay.
The gallbladder just holds onto it, and this is key. It concentrates it, takes out a lot of the water.
So it makes it stronger, like a potent little helper for digestion. What's actually in this bile concentrate?
Well, it starts out mostly water, maybe 85%.
Hmm.
But the important bits are things like fatty acids. They help break down fats you eat. And then there's cholesterol, some mineral salts like calcium, and this stuff called bilirubin.
Bilirubin. Okay, that sounds a bit technical. Is that related to something we might, recognize?
Yeah, definitely. Bilirubin is basically what's left over when your body breaks down old red blood cells. It happens all the time. It's got this yellow color. So it's what makes skin look yellow in jaundice.
Right.
And it's also what normally gives stool its yellowish brown color.
Yeah.
And here's a really important takeaway for you. If you ever see stool that's completely white,
Uh-oh.
yeah, that's a clear signal. It means bile. And that bilirubin isn't getting through at all. A total blockage somewhere.
Wow. Okay, good to know. So let's talk about how this liquid stuff turns into actual hard stones, the physics of it.
Right. It helps to think of it like this simple analogy. Imagine your gallbladder is just a glass of water. That's the fresh bile from the liver.
Okay, simple enough.
Now, start adding sugar to that water. A lot of sugar.
And the sugar here is...
The sugar is all those solid things we mentioned.
Yeah.
Cholesterol, bilirubin, the calcium salts, the stuff that can become solid. Now, in a healthy gallbladder, you've got bile acids.
Yeah.
Think of them as the teaspoon, constantly stirring, keeping everything dissolved.
Makes sense.
But if you get too much sugar, too much cholesterol or bilirubin, or if you don't have enough teaspoon, not enough bile acid stirring.
The balance gets thrown off.
Exactly. The solid bits start to, crystallize, like tiny snowflakes forming in the water. They drift down, clump together, and boom, you get stones. Like a snowball forming at the bottom. And we just named the stone based on what crystallized first. Cholesterol stones, bilirubin stones, calcium stones.
Got it. So it's about that balance being broken, and it must take time for those little crystals to build up into something problematic.
It does. Which brings us to the body's main defense against this motility.
Motility, meaning movement.
Yeah, simple muscle contraction. The gallbladder is a muscular little sac. It needs to squeeze. When you eat, especially fats, it squeezes that concentrated bile out into your intestine. If that squeeze is weak or slow, the bile just sits there, getting thicker, sludgier, perfect conditions for stones to grow.
Okay, so what things in our daily lives might be slowing down that crucial squeeze? The sources pointed to a few key things.
Yeah, the first one is maybe the most obvious. Just not moving enough, being too sedentary, sitting all day impacts that physical squeeze.
Right. Makes sense.
The second is a really common dietary mistake. People avoiding fat because they're scared of cholesterol.
The irony. Because cholesterol is a component of many stones.
Exactly. But here's the thing you need to grasp. Healthy fats are one of the main triggers that tell the gallbladder, okay, time to squeeze. Bitter foods, sour foods, spicy foods too. They all stimulate that contraction. If you cut way back on all that stuff day after day, the gallbladder just doesn't get the signal to empty. Bile sits, stagnates. You're kind of creating the problem you're trying to avoid.
Wow. Okay. And the third one was about weight loss or fasting. That seems counterintuitive. Why would not eating cause stones?
It does seem odd, right? But studies show losing weight really fast, like more than a kilo, maybe 2 pounds a week, ups your risk by about 30%. Same if you fast for more than a couple of days. Your body just isn't asking for bile very often.
So the gallbladder stays full, not getting emptied.
Precisely. The bile sits, concentrates, and those crystals start forming.
Which means for people on, say, vegetarian or vegan diets, they really need to be careful, don't they?
They do. If they aren't making a real effort to get enough good plant-based fats and also include those stimulating foods, the bitter, sour, spicy things, they can run into the same stagnation problem over time.
The body just needs that regular wake-up call.
It absolutely demands it.
Okay, we've covered the physical side, movement, diet, but now we need to pivot to something, well, unexpected, something invisible that can apparently block things up just as badly. Our emotions. This
Yeah.
part really caught my attention.
Yeah, it's a powerful example of that mind-body connection. Holding on to chronic negative stuff like anger, frustration, just feeling constantly resentful or stuck. It doesn't just feel bad in your head, it actually causes physical changes inside you.
Specifically in the bile ducts. What happens?
Think about constant low-grade stress or irritation, that feeling of internal friction. It can cause the delicate lining of the bile ducts to swell up. It's called edema.
Like inflammation.
Kind of, yeah.
Hmm.
A swelling response. Now, imagine that happening repeatedly because you're always holding on to anger. Even when the intense feeling passes and the swelling goes down a bit, the duct tissue can get damaged, maybe scarred. It ends up narrower than it should be.
So the pipe itself gets constricted.
Yeah.
Physically smaller.
Right. And that makes it much harder for bile to flow out smoothly, even if your diet is perfect.
It's like a physical blockage caused by an emotional one. I remember that analogy about holding a cup.
Ah, yes, that illustrates it perfectly. If I ask you to hold a cup out at arm's length for 5 seconds,
Ah,
easy,
yeah,
right?
no problem.
But what if I asked you to hold it there for days, weeks? Impossible. Your arm would scream. That cup represents that constant nagging anger, that unresolved issue you keep replaying. It seems small in the moment, but the constant strain adds up. It creates real physical stress, real physical change over time. Your body doesn't know the difference between fighting a tiger and fighting, your boss in your head all day.
Okay, wow. So if we're serious about trying to manage gallstones without surgery, this implies the very first step isn't about food or herbs at all.
It really has to be about calming the system down, finding ways to deal with that chronic stress, that internalized anger or frustration, resolving the life problems causing it.
That's a huge ask for some people.
It is, but the recommendation is pretty stark. Try to limit those intense flare-ups of anger or frustration. Like, consciously cap them, maybe 10, 15 seconds max, ideally even just 5 seconds.
Wait, 5 seconds for anger? In the real world, that sounds incredibly difficult.
It's definitely a practice. It doesn't mean you don't feel it. You acknowledge it, okay, I'm angry, but then you actively try to let the intense physiological response go. Shift your focus, because if those ducts are physically swollen and tight from stress, trying to force bile through them with stimulating foods or herbs, that's just going to cause pain.
Right. You have to relax the pathway first.
You have to release that internal tension. The body needs to switch out of fight or flight.
And how would someone know if they're actually succeeding, if that emotional release is having a physical effect?
There are definite signs. When you let go of that chronic stress, your rest and repair system, the parasympathetic nervous system, comes online. You'll likely notice things like your blood pressure coming down, your sleep getting deeper, more restorative, and interestingly, your appetite might actually return properly. Chronic stress can mess with hunger signals. When you relax, your body's like, okay, time to refuel and repair.
Okay, so assuming someone's worked on that emotional piece, they're feeling calmer, sleeping better. Now can we talk about the physical steps to get the bile flowing and maybe dissolve the stones?
Yes. Now we can tackle the physical side more directly. And this is where we push back against that common idea that, once you have stones, especially non-cholesterol ones, they're there forever unless you have surgery.
They can be dissolved.
The principle is simple, like that salt crystal idea. If you put a dense crystal in a less concentrated solution, it starts to dissolve. So the goal is continuous flow. Get fresh, less concentrated bile flowing in from the liver, and keep pushing the old sludgy concentrated stuff out.
Sounds like a two-pronged approach again. Step one involves clearing the way physically, visceral therapy.
Exactly. This is a hands-on technique,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crucial to do it before every meal when you're actively working on this. Think of it as a very gentle, targeted massage for your insides. You're trying to reduce any lingering spasm or swelling in the ducts and the area around them, like the pancreas.
How does someone actually do that?
You'd apply gentle pressure with your fingers, straight down into your abdomen, usually on the right side, kind of between your ribs and belly button. Press just enough to feel a little bit of discomfort, maybe a 3 or 4 on a 1 to 10 pain scale. Not sharp pain.
Okay, a mild awareness. Then what?
Once you feel that spot, you gently angle the pressure slightly upwards, maybe 45 degrees towards your head, and just hold it. 30 seconds is usually good if it's just mild awareness. If there's a bit more tenderness, you might hold up to 90 seconds. But, and this is important, if the discomfort increases while you're holding, stop immediately, back off, and maybe try a slightly different spot. The whole process shouldn't take more than, say, 10 or 15 minutes.
And there was something specific about working right under the ribs, kind of hooking inwards.
Ah, yes. That's a gentle way to encourage the liver itself to drain better. You gently press your fingers maybe an inch or so under the edge of your right rib cage, kind of like a soft hook. The idea is to sort of manually encourage stagnant fluid and old blood out of the liver tissue itself, promoting cleaner, fresher bile production right from the source.
Got it. So clear the pathway with that gentle therapy first. Then step 2 is actually stimulating the flow.
Yes, but only after you've done the therapy to make sure the pipes are as open as possible. Now you bring in those dietary triggers we talked about, but in small, regular amounts. A little bit of healthy fat daily, maybe 10, 15 grams of lard or a good plant oil. Or some spicy foods, some bitter things like almonds or maybe even mountain ash berries if you can find them. Or sour foods like sauerkraut or pickled veggies, just a little bit each day.
And what's the crucial warning sign here? If someone eats these things and feels pain.
Sharp pain in that upper right abdomen after eating a stimulant means the gallbladder squeezed success. But the bile couldn't get out easily. The pathway is still restricted. So if that happens, stop the stimulating foods immediately. Go back only to the visceral therapy for a while until things feel clear again. Don't force it.
Okay, makes sense. What about herbs? Can they help boost this flow?
Yes, two main ones were highlighted. First is immortelle flowers. Use about a tablespoon of dried flowers per, say, 200 milliliters of boiling water. Steep it for 15 minutes. Then you drink half of that, 100 milliliters, twice a day before your meal.
And the sequence matters, right? Tea first, then therapy, then food.
Absolutely crucial sequence. Drink the immortelle tea, do your gentle visceral therapy, then eat your meal, which might contain those mild stimulants. And for immortelle, there's a really important safety cycle. Use it for 2 weeks straight, then take 2 full weeks off. It's potent, so you need that break. Don't just keep taking it continuously.
2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Got it. And the other herb?
Milk thistle, specifically the seeds which contain silymarin. You use about 1 teaspoon of seeds per maybe 250 milliliters of boiling water. Steep 15-20 minutes. Drink about 100 milliliters of that 2 or 3 times a day, ideally about 30 minutes before food. Same sequence applies. Drink the tea, do the therapy, then eat. And a general rule for both herbs and the stimulating foods. If any of this causes significant discomfort or pain, you're probably using too much. Just cut the dose in half and see how that feels.
Right. Listen to your body. Now, this whole approach of stimulating the gallbladder, it's not for everyone, depending on stone size, correct? There's a danger zone.
Absolutely. Critical point. This active stimulation protocol is generally considered safe if your stones are very small, let's say 1 millimeter up to about 5 millimeters.
Okay.
It's also generally okay if the stones are quite large, like 1 centimeter, which is 10 millimeters, or bigger, even if you have many tiny ones or one big one.
But that middle range?
That's the worry. Stones roughly between 6 millimeters and 9 millimeters. You really should avoid this active stimulation. Those are the sizes most likely to get pushed out of the gallbladder when it squeezes hard, but then get stuck in the main bile duct downstream. That can cause a serious, painful emergency.
Okay, that is super important. 6 to 9 millimeters is the caution zone for this active approach. Avoid it. And one last thing, if someone is doing this and they have an ultrasound after, say, 3 or 4 months, what might they see that could be confusing?
They might actually see the stones looking bigger on the scan. And the natural reaction is panic, right? It's not working. It's getting worse.
Yeah.
But you need to understand the process. It's often a good sign. It means the stone is starting to dissolve from the inside out. Its density is decreasing. It gets kind of fluffier, less compact. So its overall volume increases temporarily before it starts to properly break down and pass out harmlessly. It takes patience to see it shrink later.
That's fascinating. So bigger might actually mean it's becoming less dense on its way to dissolving. Good to know. So pulling it all together, it really seems like maintaining health, at least in this context, boils down to 2 big things. One is understanding the physical mechanics, like that sugar-water balance in the gallbladder, the plumbing, basically. And the other, which maybe we don't think about enough, is understanding how much our internal emotional world impacts that physical plumbing.
Absolutely. You need to address both. You need that knowledge to take informed, controlled action managing stress, doing the right physical things like the therapy and gentle stimulation. It's holistic.
Real health seems to involve tackling the mind and the body. They aren't separate systems when it comes to things like this.
Couldn't agree more. They're completely intertwined.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to chew on, building on everything we've discussed today. If we accept that chronic, stuck emotions like frustration or anger can literally cause physical swelling and narrowing in essential pathways like your bile ducts, then maybe consider this. How much of the other physical discomfort or recurring illness you might experience in your life? Could it simply be your body physically manifesting an emotional conversation you're avoiding or feeling you just won't let go of? Something to think about. Until next time on The Deep Dive.